Who got the power?
Welcome to the 12th tutorial on Theme D. We will be looking at fact and opinion and what leads to bias. Biased means being in favor of one thing over another, unfairly. An editor is the person responsible for the content of a newspaper or TV radio report. A journalist is a person who gathers news and produces reports for the media. A spin doctor is someone who tries to get certain stories into the public eye and to make bad news sound better. The media can take different views on an issue. The media informs people about what is going on but often presents it in a way that supports their view of it. This is known as biased reporting. Why might biased reporting cause problems? If, as a reader or viewer, you are aware of the bias of a TV program or newspaper, you can take that bias into account when you form your own opinion. If you are unaware of the bias, you might just believe it all and take it as fact. The BBC is paid for by people living in this country, so should be independent, accurate and impartial. However, people with different political opinions often accuse it of being biased. A newspaper or TV news program can choose the stories it wants to tell and decide how it's going to tell them. The owners of the paper appoint an editor to run it for them. The editor has the power to decide how the news will be reported. The owners usually choose an editor who has the same opinions as them, which means the way the news is presented reflects the owner's point of view. For example, some owners might believe that immigration is good for the country and that the UK has a responsibility to take in refugees, so the stories in the paper will reflect that. People who agree with those views will buy that newspaper. However, some owners don't like people moving to this country, so their papers contain negative stories about immigration, and people who share that view will buy their paper. TV news has editors too, and the program is put together in the same way. Newspapers belong to companies that have shareholders, so they want to make as much profit as possible, so will contain stories, sometimes with sensational headlines, so encourage as many people as possible to buy the paper. The more people that buy it, the more money they can sell adverts for, and they make even more money. Advertising pays for commercial TV and the papers. Editors have tough decisions to make if they are presented with a story that shows one of the paper's main advertisers in a bad light. Do they print the story? Make the story less critical, or just ignore it? Politicians want to be shown in a positive way. Political parties may employ spin doctors who write the stories and work hard to get them in the news. They might talk about how much the party has spent on health or education. However, when journalists look carefully, they often find that the spending has been announced before, but the spin doctor is trying to find a way to get positive stories about the politicians who employ them. In the exam, you might be asked to explain why media owners are powerful or what factors influence the contents of a newspaper.